Yes, thank you very much, Sean. And once again, a very big welcome to all of our attendees this morning. This morning's topic on Safety 101 is going to be a bit of a recap of some of the things we discussed throughout the year. So if you have been here since the beginning of this year, and even some of you from last year already, you might have recognized some of the things that we have been discussing up to now. And this is really to assist those who are actually on the ground performing the work to be able to understand what they need to do, like last week's toolbox talk on responsibilities and how to handle or how to execute those responsibilities. We are looking at just some very basic things, and we call it Safety 101, things that you need to have, especially in a weekly routine, to keep yourselves safe on site, whether you're driving to or from sites, whether you're on a construction site, a private home, in a corporate client, or even if you're back at your office doing some work at the office before the teams go out. There are certain things that we want to just keep in our mind. So it might be a reminder, but really, this is what safety is all about. It's reminding ourselves of the key things, the things that not only make the company turn around, but also keep us all safe at the same time. Now, last week's discussion on responsibilities, we did get an overwhelming amount of emails, and we want to say thank you very much and encourage you to continue to do that. Please send us your comments and your questions. We really do appreciate it, and we get back to you guys as soon as we can. I think we got back to everybody last week, which was a great week for everybody asking questions and sending through their comments. And we want to say thank you very much. It is really because of you that FEM and IOPSA got together in order to give you this information. And we also really want to say how much we appreciate SIOSH and everything that they do, as well as all the members also for reaching out and giving some assistance to us. We just want to say how much we appreciate the members from SIOSH and also SIOSH for what they are doing. And then especially, obviously, our hosts, which is FEM and IOPSA, for bringing this free toolbox talk to SA. So after this awesome weekend, I hope you are looking forward to a great week ahead. But we just want to remind you of going back to the basics of health and safety. Now, when we talk about basics, we are not talking about non-important things. We are actually talking about essential, vital parts of a health and safety program. Now, lately, a lot of people are talking about PDCA, and we actually try and promote this as much as possible in OHSS. Plan, do, check, act. This entire procedure will assist you to always go back to the basic. And in fact, it not only takes you back to the vital, very important parts of your safety system, it helps you to start from there, increase, and then push yourself to a higher standard. Now, why do we say that? Well, if you take a look at how Plan, Do, Check, Act or PDCA model works, it's in order for us to, from the start of a project, plan every part of the project. And that's from procurement, making sure you have the right tools, making sure that you have the right team, ensuring that everything to perform the task has been ordered and planned correctly, right down to the task itself. And this includes things like operational procedures, making sure that all of this is in place before you even go to site. Now, at this stage, the PDCA or the Plan, Do, Check, Act model does not only assist us in health and safety. In fact, it's an integrated model. Now, the reason why this is so great to use is because when you plan for health and safety, you can use the same essential elements from that planning process, if we can put it that way, from procurement of PPE to the procurement of training providers. You can take that same process and now move it over to your environmental side, where you are planning for waste disposal or correct disposal of hazardous biological agents or hazardous chemical substances, or anything that you might need to do that could affect the environment around you. Then it can also be used in a quality standard. How do you go about ensuring that those who you purchase or procure things from are also giving you the best and most quality product out there. So all these processes can actually assist you in your business as well, not just in health and safety. And this is what we call an integrated system. So it's actually something that every business owner should really take heed of. Go back to the basics and see, can we start with this plan, do, check, act system within all parts of our business? So again, like we mentioned, we are not saying go back to the basics in going back to the minor things or the less important. Again, we just want to reiterate that it is actually the essential parts of your system. And the reason is we often lose sight of small things in life. We take certain things for granted, especially when it's a constant feature in our lives. Now, the old saying goes, you only miss something once you lose it. So in health and safety, obviously, and this is very much health and safety driven when we speak to you on the Toolbox Talk, imagine losing something like your hand, your eye, the ability to walk, or losing someone that you work with. Now, these are realities. We are not making these things up. Obviously, we have many incidents and accidents that occur around the entire South Africa all the time, where people are constantly losing things like hands, fingers, eyes, even the ability to walk, or even the death of somebody in a company, which really brings the entire morale down. Nobody wants to lose a friend or a colleague. So why do we say going back to the basics then is so vital? Well, it's basically three things. We want to stop, think, and act. And again, this works with the model of plan, do, check, act. It really works hand in hand. But the stop, think, act saying basically helps us to realize that sometimes the smaller things to us are the essential parts of our safety system, such as a toolbox talk, an induction, health and safety training in-house. Many of us go to institutes of higher education. Some of us go to SAQA approved training providers. Some of you come through to us to do your firefighting, first aid, working at heights, all that type of training. And this is very good. But we only see our clients every year to every 2 years. And the certificates expire, let's say, after 2 years, where we want you just to come and refreshen your knowledge on basic firefighting or first aid or whatever it is that you are being trained on. However, where is the internal in-house training, that continual progressive training or upskilling of anybody in the company? Now, the reason for this is, and we know it very well, if we are not reminded about something, often we do forget. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a human tendency. But we must remember that health and safety saves the lives of those in the company, we ourselves as employees, as well as those who work with us. As employers, you put a lot of investment into employees, especially when it comes to the skills side, making sure you have the quality of work, ensuring that your employees know what to do, but keeping them safe should be the main objective. So this advice on stopping, thinking, and acting essentially helps us to, first of all, reevaluate where we are currently at the moment, and then readjust should there be any gaps. Now, readjustment takes a bit of time. And again, you can see the plan, do, check, act coming into this, where we essentially understand what we need to do. We then plan to do it. We then do it. We then check on it and then act if there are any inconsistencies. And this just reaffirms our occupational health and safety management systems that we have. Whether it's a basic health and safety file that you've implemented with weekly toolbox talks, your DSTIs, your risk assessment, very basic things. Remember, those basic things are keeping you safe. So do not underestimate them. They might be basics, but they certainly are very important. So when we stop, what we are essentially doing is stop and smell the roses. A lot of people say, and there I've given you a bit of a bit of a decal, makes it look all pretty. But actually, the reason why we want you to see this is the first step to a successful management system is really to stop and first check that you have a good understanding of all the facts. And this comes down, and we'll speak about it now, is on your risk assessment. Do we have all the facts that are current as well as available to us? Knowing and understanding the area in which you are going to work, the environment that is surrounding you. Again, we're coming back to that site-specific information. Yes, you know your own procedures, you know your own scope and how to use certain tools, equipment, or how to perform a specific task. However, do you know the area in which that task is going to be performed and the risks and hazards that are present that could affect you? Then also having clearly defined procedures for that scope of work. Now, often we get to a client and they say they know what they are doing, and we appreciate that. We cannot tell you how to do your job. However, when we ask them for the actual document that shows the step-by-step procedure, well, they don't have it. And this is because it's knowledge in the head. They know it, they understand it, they can do it out of their head, some of them blindfolded. And this is very good. However, how can you pass that knowledge onto someone else who needs to understand how you need to go about doing the task? There should be a documented procedure. Now, this is good for two things. For one, should an incident or accident occur, we can go back to the procedure and see if it was done according to that procedure. The second thing is we might have forgotten things. Not all of us have eidetic memories or photographic memories with perfect abilities to remember everything. Yes, we do things like driving a car without even thinking about it at times, but do we stop and check? Do we know all the procedures, or do we only wait for an accident to reveal where we might have had a shortfall? And then a very important thing is stopping to address the needs of employees. This means you must stop and evaluate the current state of your system or process. Now, this obviously is done by sometimes performing an audit, internally doing an evaluation, but really it means just checking all the aspects of how you go about performing your task. And once you've done this, think about what needs to be done. Now, again, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. You also don't have to go for the latest trends or the latest offers out there. What we essentially want to do is just think holistically about our entire company and how things are being done from the scope, so from your actual tasks that you're performing, and how these are done safely. Ask yourself questions like, what do you need in order to do it safely? What does your job require in order for you to get to or from it safely? And when I'm performing individual jobs or individual tasks, how can it be done safely? Is there a procedure? And then always ask yourself, how are others around me affected by what I do? Or even the environment. Now, the reason why we ask ourselves these questions is for us to really think about how it affects ourselves as well as those around us. Having this type of approach to your safety system will not only give you understanding on how to improve the attitudes of those around you and even those on your team or even yourself, the behaviors of your entire team or your entire company, but what it also does is it fosters trust as well as open communication amongst all co-workers. And this is because you feel safe to also be a part of the health and safety system. So it cannot be done alone. It must be done in a team effort. So perhaps you can ask yourself, are you a team player? Well, many of you who might have been watching on Sunday can see how a team can make a difference to an entire nation. The actions of one team can bring so many people together. And this is because attitudes and behaviors were affected. It is the same in our health and safety culture. If we have an approach to our system where we want to improve and we want to know how our actions affect others, we will have the motivation then to change certain things. And please don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean huge or costly changes. Sometimes it's as simple as just putting it down in writing. And then act on what you have now thought about. So once you've stopped, you've thought about it, now use this plan, do, check, act, or this continual improvement of PDCA within your company. After taking the time out, you now know and understand what it is you need to do. So do it. Put an action plan together, make a checklist, and tick something off every day or every week until you are at a point where you have a better safety system. Now, it doesn't matter what safety system you have, you can always improve on it in any aspect of that safety system. Document your procedure and follow through on it. Use the plan, do, check, act, or PDCA approach, and always monitor how it's being done and the outcome of it later on. And then never give up. Please, this is something that might take time. It might be a little bit more time consuming than you might have thought of when you did start it, but don't give up on it. It is worth it, because saving one life really is worth all the effort. Now, we mentioned one of the things that we want to do is the hazard identification and risk assessment. This is one of the starting points, and we mentioned this last week as well. In fact, we've mentioned this many, many times. Do your hazard identification and risk assessment. This is vital to strategize, to plan for, and to put into process what all your control measures are. Every action we have should be risk driven. We need to understand and we need to involve as many people as appropriate. Don't overcomplicate it. Just go back to the basics. Think of those essential parts of our company that we need in order to ensure the safe progression of work. It is always best done on site. So get to site, get to the work area, get in front of your equipment, make sure you can actually physically see, touch, and know what's going on in the working environment before you perform a risk assessment. Now, even if you're in an office, you can do an office risk assessment. It is possible. If you need to know more information, please just get in touch with us, and we can assist you with that continual risk assessment guide in order to continually improve. Now, what this is doing is preventing incidents and accidents. So the success of your system will be reflected in the amount of incidents you see. We want to prevent incidents and accidents. The entire purpose of a safety system is to keep you safe. So if that is not happening, then something in your system is not working. So again, stop, think, and act, and then use the plan, do, check, act system to revitalize your safety system. Set those goals, test the process, evaluate how it comes out, analyze the information, learn from your mistakes, and then improve. We are all responsible for health and safety, which means we all have our say. But your motivation should be for a stronger, more effective health and safety system, not to make your paperwork less. So please try to stop, think, and act on what you have found. So thanks very much for joining us this morning. We really do appreciate it. As it is a 20-minute session, we want to end off here by just saying thank you very much to all of our members, and then to invite you, for those in the Western Cape, we are coming back down to you, Western Cape area, November 12th and 13th for the basic first aid and basic firefighting courses. Remember, this is a free course provided by FEM and IOPSA. If you are an FEM and IOPSA member, as mentioned, we are still working with SIOS to see if we can come up with something for their members. And then Gauteng members, December 3rd and 4th is the final course for you in Gauteng for this year. You want any more information? Please drop us an email, chris@ohss.co.za, safety@iopsa.org, info@ohss.co.za, or always on that WhatsApp line, 071-875-2070. And then we look forward to seeing you all back here next week, probably after a very good weekend. Hopefully all of us are going to be there. For the boys in in green and gold. And we look forward to seeing you in November on the 5th for electrical extension cables, why these are dangerous, and what we need to do to keep ourselves safe. So thank you again, and we'll hand it over back to you, Sean.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Chris. I've got no questions here for you this morning, so I'm going to go ahead and end the session off now. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this morning. Please remember there is a survey on the way out, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.